Good morning everyone. Welcome back to my video. So I'm once again here in front of you. I hope you understood the previous video. We were discussing about the Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, his classification of the plays, and what are the characteristics of his plays, or on what elements he focused in different periods of time. And we stopped the video by ending with the characterization of the Shakespeare's play. So today I would like to go more deeply into the characterization of the Shakespeare's play. So it is very important before you start learning the play to understand what are the main themes of the characterization of the play, or how Shakespeare introduces the different human psyche, that is psychology, into his own characters. And often we see that many of the Shakespeare's characters are real to the life, or you feel like it is very much having the close connection to some of us in some or other way. So we can see that is why the critics used to say that he is a very genius dramatist. His genius of writing the play lies in his characterization, and he has created a galaxy of characters with whom we can easily identify. His characters are not mechanical, they are very true to the life. Okay, they have the very, that's why I told you, they have very close connection to the life. And like real human beings, they have the recognizable shades of black and white. Now what do you mean by recognizable shades of black and white? We know that life is, we say it's like a black and white. There are certain things that are very visible in front of our eyes, and there are many things that remain invisible and or which remains hidden, okay, which is not exactly projected in front of the society or in front of the people. So no character in his play is totally blameless and error free. You cannot blame any character. For example, you have already done the Merchant of Venice. You cannot blame the character Shylock being a villain there. Okay, so if there is no villain in a character, you cannot project the significance of a hero in the play, okay, or in a story, isn't it? You take the example of any movie. If there is no villain character in there, there is no significance of the hero to be projected in the whole movie, isn't it? So it brings a kind of elegance to the story. So that means every role, whether it is a major role or a minor role or a supporting role, whatever, every character in its some or other way is essential to bring the unity of the plot. Plot here means in the story. We often come across this word plot, which means the story. Okay, so the unity of the plot. So here the passions and the motives which govern his characters are very common to all mankind. As I told you, he uses the multiple passions like love, hatred, fear, anger, jealousy, revenge. Okay, so these type of different types of feelings are being evoked through his character. And every character, whichever play you take, there is one particular element of this emotion will be superior in that character. Okay, maybe in some characters the element of ego is very high, maybe in some character there is element of humbleness is there, in some character you can see a lot of forgiveness is there, in some character you can see that it's very pessimistic or very optimistic. So you can see all these type of different qualities of a human being which is inculcated in that particular character, which stands very close to the human character itself. And the unique quality of the Shakespeare's play is the universality. Now what is this universality? His characters are always very fresh and lifelike. As I told you, very true to life and very close to the human mind or human nature. They are not dated simply because they reveal those aspects of the human nature which do not change with time. And we know that human nature is not a stable one, is not a constant one. It keeps on changing with the time. Love and hatred, hope and despair, courage and cowardice, meanness and generosity, and many other type of emotions which Shakespeare has depicted cannot become fake or stale in his characters. And we know that all these different types of emotions are there in every human being. Sometimes some emotions are expressed and some are not expressed, some are hidden and some are put forward in front of other or being recognized. Okay. So Shakespeare's play are also fine specimen examples of the objective writing. It is very difficult to say here that the character who is the true spokesperson of the writer is a character, is like a god. He is everywhere and nowhere also. Now, what do you mean by is everywhere? You can see that impact of the character is everywhere, but the character might not be anywhere. Okay. So he had a particular ideology to propagate this. One is amazed how he managed not to project his personal grievances and prejudices in his play. A man who made Hamlet says, we know if you go through the Shakespeare's tragedies, there is a one very famous tragedy called the Hamlet the Prince. So in that Hamlet the Prince, Shakespeare makes a very statement regarding women, and this statement has become very popular, and many people used to object this statement and also to support this statement. So this also shows the dominion status of the men in the society, and women they call the other side, that is the weaker side of the society. So Shakespeare makes a very brave statement regarding the women, that is, frailty, thy name is women. So frailty means your weakness. Weakness means women are considered to be weak in the society compared to the men. So this type of statement could create more about the innocent and the sincere women. Okay. In for example, in King Lear we have a character called Cordelia. Cordelia is a last daughter of the King Lear's all the three daughters, and she was very innocent and very sincere type of character. So, and the most sparking, and also Shakespeare's drama has also projected the most sparking and the witty women like Portia in The Merchant of Venice. You know that Portia, you have already done The Merchant of Venice, how intelligent lady she was, and we can also see her intelligence is to some extent is equal to little bit of the crookedness, which we can see that how, if you remember the trial scene in the court, how she crookedly arrest the Shylock in her argumentation with regarding the bond of signed between the Antonio and the Shylock. Okay, so this shows that intelligence and the wit has again the meaning of the intelligence. This shows the witty women or very sparkling ladies, very brilliant minded. Okay, so we can see here Shakespeare through his characters presents the two sides of the women character, like two sides of a coin. Okay, so that means that there are many characters like this where Shakespeare expresses the different human emotions or the different human qualities through his character, which itself becomes the central theme or the enacting of the play through these characters. Okay, so if we say that there are many in this plays where we can take the example like this in As You Like It. It's another play written by the Shakespeare, As You Like It. There is a cynic in Jacques. There is a character named Jacques, and Jacques is a cynic. Now what do you mean by cynic? C-Y-N-I-C. Cynic means a person who is having the habit of doubting others. No, in Hindi we call shak karna. Okay, so a person who is having the habit of doubting, always doubting on others, we call it as a cynic. And here we have in this particular play, As You Like It, we have a character called Jacques, and there are many acts to a counterbalance to him, notably. Okay, so we have very other characters counterbalancing this particular character. So my point to say is that whatever play of Shakespeare you read or you take as an example, we come across the different types of characters where some or other human emotions are being implemented. In short, I would like to come to the conclusion that Shakespeare's greatness as a playwright rests in the depth analysis of the human characters. So he goes into the deep analyzation of the human character by his comprehensive vision his objectivity, universal appeal, and very superb poetry. So we see that in many parts of his play, he also makes use of the poetry. We already know that Shakespeare is not only a playwright, but he is also a very great poet. He has written around 115 sonnets, and sonnets, you know, it's a 14-line poem with the last two lines having the rhyming couplet. Okay, and his sonnets are very famous, and most of his sonnets are based on love as a theme, or love sonnets we call it. And most of his plays also include this poetical quality. And why these poetical verses are used, it is to give enhance to his plays. So that is why we say that Shakespeare plays, when you read the plays of the Shakespeare, we can see that it is very close to the human mind, it is very close to the human nature, and it is very close to the various emotions of the human beings. So in the play with The Tempest, which you are going to study in this year, also we can see these type of elements of usage of the different emotions through his character, which are very close to the human psychology itself. Okay, whether it is a female character or whether it's a male character, you can see that the female or the male psyche is being included in this particular characters. And Tempest, being a tragic and comedy, it is a mixture of both the tragedy and the comedy. Okay, the elements of both are present in the form of drama, and we can see that it remained very popular. So if you take all the plays of the Shakespeare, the Merchant of the Venice and the Tempest is considered as one of the two most popular plays, and they were comes under the category of the tragic and comedy. Okay, so you remember when you have done your Merchant of Venice, you have the Lancelot as a comic character who plays with the words. He wants to say something and he uses some other words, and which brings a different meaning, and which brings a kind of prank, 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 or laughter in the audience. Okay, so here also we have two or three characters in the play The Tempest, where we can see they bring the fully farcical element. Farcical element means the use of complete comic scene, you know, something the character gimmicks like a buffoon or a joker, and we have certain characters here which brings which lessens the seriousness of the tragedy in the play. Okay, so the word tempest itself have the meaning of the storm. So the playwright himself gives more picturization of a tragedy rather than a comedy, even though it is a mixture of a comedy inside the play. So I hope that you have understood this. So if you have your textbook of Merchant of Venice class 10 or your workbook, please go through the beginning initial pages where the details about the Shakespeare, his plays, his characterization is given. So it is very, and please note down the important points which I have discussed with you right now, and fix it in your mind, so that when we go through the play, you will be getting a better understanding, you will be going to the better understanding of the play. So here in class 11, it is not important to learn or by heart the answers. It is important that you go through the every character of the play and understand it line by line or the original text, so that you will be able to answer from wherever it is asked. So for the time being, I am signing up. Thank you. Have a nice day.